Connecting the Chinese port city of Dalian with the city of Yantai, the world's longest undersea tunnel would be 123 kilometers long, making it more than twice as long as the current record holder in Japan, linking Honshu and Hokkaido Islands.
China is building tunnels the likes of which the world has never seen. While most tunnels go through mountains, these ones go over 5,000 meters long under the sea. But this tunnel is only the beginning. Across the country, China is building tunnels that broke 5 world records, drilling massive highway tunnels through brutal geology, and pushing TBM technology to its limits. Together, these projects reveal how China is quietly rewriting the playbook for building beneath the sea, and America is in awe. The Gintang Undersea Tunnel. The Gintang Undersea Tunnel is one of China's most ambitious projects currently under construction. This beast of a tunnel is said to become the world's longest underwater high-speed railway tunnel once completed. Connecting Ningbo City's Beilan district with Zhoushan City, it will stretch a staggering 10 miles. This project is said to be a critical component of a longer stretch of the critical Ningbo-Zhoushan Railway, and while the completion of this mega-project is expected to be completed by 2018, the construction process itself is certainly not going to be easy. The Gintang Undersea Tunnel faces a lot of serious challenges. The biggest challenge of them all is how far down they intend to construct the structure. At its deepest point, the tunnel will plunge nearly 256 feet below the seabed, where the water pressure reaches a crushing 8.4 bars. Creating a tunnel in an environment with that sort of pressure is certainly an impressive feat. One small mistake and the entire thing could collapse in on itself. But the challenges don't stop there. Experts have to find a way to build this tunnel through a very complex region. After all, this thing has to go under one of the busiest shipping routes in the world that leads to the Zhoushan port. Not only that, but it also has to navigate close to seawalls, docks, and even oil pipelines. And as tough as that is, the geology of the area makes the job 10 times more difficult. Let me explain. While most tunnels have to simply pass through one type of material underground, the Gintang Undersea Tunnel is so long that it will be transitioning between hard rock formations and soft ground 28 times during its construction. And some of these rocks are so hard that digging through them would take weeks. But despite all these challenges, China is ready to get the job done using its colossal tunnel boring machines. And since China wants to speed up the process for this project, they have decided to utilize 2 boring machines instead of just one. Named the Dinghai and Yongzhou, these beasts will be taking the tunnel from opposite ends at the same time. Both of them will cut through rocks and mud deep underground until eventually they meet in the middle. Now, as you can expect, this would require an extreme level of precision. If either of the machines strays off course by even a few inches, it would cause misalignment, which would have to be fixed. And if the error is too great, the entire project could be ruined. Thankfully, the chances of that happening are next to none. Both the Dinghai and Yongzhou are masterpieces of Chinese engineering. These monsters weigh a staggering 4,350 tons and have a diameter of around 23 feet. Equipped at the front of each machine are 308 specially designed cutters that are capable of cutting through even the most solid rocks the project will encounter quite easily. Both machines will be carefully operated to ensure they follow the correct path. The experts believe that they can ensure a margin of error within 2 centimeters after these machines have dug through miles of rock and meet in the middle. And if they manage to achieve that, it will certainly solidify China's position as the world's leading TBM manufacturer and tunnel digging specialist. Now you may be wondering what this tunnel that China is going through so much effort to build is going to be used for? Well, it is going to serve a very important function once it is finished in 2028. High-speed trains are going to shoot through the Gintang Undersea Tunnel to deliver important cargo at speeds of up to 155 miles per hour. It will slash the current travel time between Ningbo and Zhoushan from 1.5 hours to less than 30 minutes. At the same time, it will serve as one of the most advanced and longest underwater rail projects China has ever built. After all, the tunnel boring machines used for the project are made entirely in China, instead of being imported. And since China is becoming the world's supplier of TBMs, this will be a great showcase of what Chinese tunneling machines can achieve. Xiao Bay Second Tunnel. The Xiao Bay Second Tunnel is another crown jewel for China's tunnel boring industry, which is expected to claim 5 world records upon its completion. It will be the largest-scale undersea highway tunnel, the longest undersea highway tunnel, and the highest water-pressure large-diameter shield tunnel in the world. Additionally, it will become the world's first large-diameter shield tunnel to dock with the large cross-section drill and blast tunnel, as well as being the largest cross-section undersea tunnel crossing large faults. That is a whole list of records this project is going to break, and to do so, this project has to be equally as magnificent. And, well, looking at the specs, that certainly seems to be the case. The Xiao Bay second tunnel is going to be nearly 11 miles long, and of those, 6.1 miles are going to go underneath the sea. It will be a highway that connects Qingdao's main urban areas and the West Coast New District. And not just any highway, it will be a 3-lane road going both ways. And building these 3 roads are the 3 dragons. That is the name given to the 3 boring machines that are working day and night to dig out the Xiao Bay second tunnel. The northern tunnel section is being dug by the Deep Blue Mix Shield, which is a 557 feet long, 4,500-ton heavy beast with a diameter of 51 feet. On the south tunnel section is its twin with the same diameter, named the Haitian Mix Shield, which is 465 feet in length and weighs 5,166 tons. The third machine has been named the National Signal, and it is busy carving out a service tunnel with its smaller 26.7 inches wide diameter cutter. Each one of these machines is a masterpiece in its own regard. Manufactured by Herrenknecht, these beasts have been equipped with cutting-edge technology to dig out this record-breaking tunnel. They have a telescopic main drive with an excavation chamber and an excavation container. There is a monitoring system installed in each one of the boring machines that keeps track of every single variable. Most importantly, these TBMS are installed with powerful stone crushers, and they are certainly needed for the kind of terrain they will be digging through. The geology of the region where the Xiao Bay second tunnel is being dug through is absolutely brutal. The boring machines have to dig through the Kangkou Fault. It is a giant geological transition zone where rock formations vary widely. There are sections that are extremely soft, while others are made up of granite, which is one of the hardest kinds of rocks in the world. And these boring machines had to be designed to be able to deal with all of those conditions without slowing down or getting stuck. Aside from that, this tunnel is going to cross through 18 fault fracture zones. And that translates to some serious danger. In some of the sections, the distance between the tunnel and the seabed will be quite small, making it much more challenging to dig. And because of that, the tunnel has to go quite deep, which adds another layer of danger. But will all that be worth it? Well, the Xiao Bay second tunnel is going to provide a much faster way for people to navigate the main urban areas of Qingdao. It will serve as a faster alternative to the Xiao Bay tunnel, an alternative with a wider road and better traffic flow. And obviously, it will also break those 5 records, which will earn China some serious bragging rights. Taihu Tunnel. Up until now, we have only discussed the record-breaking undersea tunnels that China is currently building, but there is a tunnel equally as impressive that China has already built. I am talking about the Taihu Tunnel. The Taihu Tunnel is China's current longest underwater highway tunnel that opened all the way back in 2021. This gigantic structure stretches 6.7 miles underneath Lake Taihu, acting as a key section of the Changzhou-Wuxi Highway. And since an entire lake sits above this tunnel, engineers designing it had to face a unique set of challenges. They had to worry about the water pressure just a short distance above their heads, which could create leak points in the tunnel. And if those leak points appeared, they could cause structural damage or even flood the entire structure. And since this route was going to facilitate travel for hundreds of thousands of people every year, such a disaster could easily turn deadly. That is why the experts had to figure out a way to make this tunnel completely seepage-proof. And how they did it is quite fascinating. The trick lay in how the cement was poured that encases the tunnel. Instead of opting for the traditional way of getting the job done, the engineers went high-tech. They used a sophisticated system that monitored the pouring process closely to ensure there were no cracks, micro holes, or weak points. Additionally, the concrete used was also specially made. It was designed to be as waterproof as possible so that in case water did indeed seep from the lake all the way to the tunnel, it won't be able to enter. And on top of that, working inside the tunnel posed some risks of its own that had to be mitigated. The equipment being used had to have zero sewage and zero dust discharge type to ensure the well-being of the workers and to minimize contamination of the surroundings with pollutants. But the most impressive feat of them all has to be how fast they finished this project. Building the Taihu Tunnel was a marathon that lasted just 4 years, and once you understand the scale of the project, it becomes clear how insane that timeline is to achieve. The project involved pouring in 2 million cubic meters of concrete into the underground structure. That's enough to fill several football stadiums. On top of that, the entire tunnel was on a different level when it comes to size. The Taihu Tunnel is a 2-way 6-lane configuration with a width of about 57 feet. And it isn't just the tunnel size either. China installed special lights throughout the tunnel on the ceiling that are designed specially to prevent driver fatigue. All that was done in just 4 years when other countries would have taken way longer, but all that effort certainly paid off for China. This tunnel helped cut down the travel time between Maishan and Nanquan by half. It also serves as a crucial connecting point for the entirety of the Yangtze River Delta, making it way more convenient to travel between Wuxi and Yixing. And all that came at the cost of a staggering $1.56 billion US. That's a large sum to pay, no doubt. But since this tunnel will help people travel to jobs, promote tourism with its flashy, colorful lights, and allow for faster transit times for goods, China is going to make a profit off of that investment in no time. Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge Undersea Tunnel. The Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge is an iconic symbol of China's engineering prowess for the rest of the world. But what many people don't realize is that this 34-mile-long passageway actually has a pretty long underwater section spanning 4.2 miles. And building this tunnel was no easy task due to the multitude of challenges experts had to face during the construction process. The route of the tunnel placed it directly under the Pearl River Delta, one of the busiest shipping routes in the world. So the workers had to dig out the tunnel, outfit it with everything needed to accommodate safe travel, all the while ensuring the ships passing above wouldn't get disrupted. And add to that the fact that the region is very prone to natural disasters, and the whole thing gets a lot more complicated. The entire tunnel had to be resistant to earthquakes of up to 8 on the Richter scale. And since a part of the route had to be in the form of a bridge before it transitioned to the underwater segment, these sections also had to be designed to resist typhoon-level winds. Those are all pretty big asks for such a complicated project. But for Chinese engineers, it was a job that just had to be done. So, they formulated a foolproof construction plan that would result in the masterpiece that China prides itself on to this day. The first and largest problem they faced was how to transition a bridge into an underground tunnel without having to worry about waves affecting its integrity. And they came up with a rather ingenious answer. Instead of building something out of metal or concrete, the engineers decided to create 2 artificial islands at both ends of the underwater tunnel. These would act as transition points, providing a solid barrier against the surrounding water even during rough storms. Now this is where things get fascinating. You see, most tunnels built underground nowadays are bored using giant TBMS. China itself manufactures a lot of them, but for the Kong-Zhuhai-Macau tunnel, they opted for a different approach. First, trenches were dug out at the bottom of the sea that were large enough to accommodate the tunnel, and then they made massive sections of the tunnel itself, not down at the sea bottom, but on land elsewhere. These sections were floated out to where they needed to be installed and lowered down into the sea, fitting in perfectly into the trench they had dug. After that, the trench was filled back up, burying the sections in the depths of the earth. Precision was the name of the game throughout this process. There couldn't be an error rate of more than a few millimeters across the sections. Otherwise, water can seep through and cause damage, eventually leading to structural failure. And on top of that, throughout the construction process, experts had to keep a close eye on the weather. Bad weather conditions, reduced visibility, or even strong winds could spell disaster. And well, things didn't exactly go smoothly all the time. Despite all the safety guidelines and plans in place to avoid accidents, 19 workers lost their lives while building this project, a tunnel paid for in blood. And even once all the tunnel sections had been lowered into place, the trench filled back up, and the water inside the tube flushed out, there was still a lot of work yet to be done. The Kong-Zhuhai-Macau tunnel section has been equipped with high-tech systems to prevent any unforeseen incident. State-of-the-art traffic management systems ensure a smooth flow of traffic. Advanced ventilation systems line the roof and walls to prevent the buildup of dangerous gases. And special attention has been paid to prevent a fire from breaking out and spreading. Fire-resistant padding has been applied throughout the tunnel, and special evacuation systems are in place to get the people out in case the worst comes to happen. Combined, the Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge undersea tunnel costed a total of $18.8 billion, and its construction has been especially beneficial for China's economy. Not only has this project reduced travel times between Hong Kong and Zhuhai from 4 hours down to just 30 minutes, but the artificial islands created in the process have also become major tourist spots. Jangan Tunnel. Next, let's take a dive into the past with the Jangan Tunnel, one of the most fascinating underwater tunnels in China. This project holds a special place in history. After all, it was China's first undersea tunnel ever built, and how they did it is mind-blowing. The construction began on the Jangan Tunnel back in 2005, but there was no massive digging machine on site. No TBM, no nothing. That's because China hadn't perfected that technology just yet. Instead, they were going to build this tunnel the old-fashioned way. And well, that method was explosive. Quite literally. Known as the drill and blast method, it involved drilling holes deep into the rocks, stuffing in powerful explosives, and blowing a hole through. The softer soil was dug through using machines, while the harder rock was reduced to rubble and carried out with trucks. It took 4 years for the 3.7-mile stretch to be dug out completely. The moment the workers broke through in November 2009 marked a historic moment. It set a precedent for Chinese engineering. It paved the way for all the future undersea tunnels that would follow, helping engineers understand what challenges they would have to face and how best to deal with them. But at the same time, the Jangan tunnel was a huge achievement in itself. It consists of 3 tubes, 2 for traffic, and 1 acts as a service tunnel. The 6-lane road that went through these tubes cut the travel distance between Xiamen Island and Jangan District from 1.5 hours to just a measly 15 minutes. Another reason why this project was so significant is that in many parts of the tunnel, the distance between it and the seabed was quite small. At its most extreme, that distance was just 93 feet. That's awfully small considering what would happen if a crack forms, weakening the structural integrity of the ground and the tunnel. Still, workers risked life and limb to dig through those sections, showing bravery. And by doing so, they were able to build the thinnest undersea tunnel of its kind in the world. And since this structure is so thin, special attention had to be paid to ensure the security of the passengers going through. There are 12 emergency shafts built in to provide an escape route if the worst comes to pass. In addition to that, there are 2 ventilation shafts that also function as an emergency exit. The Xiang'an Tunnel also has 2 relief sculptures built inside to commemorate its historic significance and to celebrate the effort the workers put in to make this dream turn into a reality. Now, while this tunnel is the thinnest, this next one is its complete opposite. Jinan-Huanggang Yellow River Tunnel. The Jinan-Huanggang Yellow River Tunnel is the widest undersea bored tunnel in the world by diameter. With a diameter of 55.8 feet, this thing is an absolute monster. It is so big that instead of having just 1 level, this tunnel is double-decker with 6 lanes of travel operating in both directions. And as you can guess, building it required something equally as massive. Most of the digging done for the Jinan-Huanggang Yellow River Tunnel was done by the Herrenknecht Shanhei shield machine. This TBM has the same diameter as the tunnel, making it an absolute beast in its own right. And this thing performed so well that it actually set a record of its own while working on the project. By digging through about 52 to 59 feet of land in a day on average, the Shanhei TBM became the fastest such machine of its class. It completed digging the Jinan-Huanggang Yellow River Tunnel in just 110 days after it went into operation. That is extremely fast for a TBM of this size. During the digging process, the tunnel went under the 2nd longest river in China, the Yellow River, and that presented a lot of challenges that needed to be overcome. But with technology, all that was made quite easier. The cutting wheel of the Shani had a flushing system built in that prevented clogging even when the ground became a bit too soft. The TBM was also equipped with a telescopic camera that allowed workers to monitor the cutting bits for wear without having to put themselves in danger or bring work to a halt for an inspection. This significantly reduced the risk for the workers. At the same time, special attention was paid to the routing of the tunnel to ensure there was no chance of a cave-in. The Jinan-Huanggang Yellow River Tunnel is still under construction, as the latter part of the project is still being finished, but it is expected to reach completion in the coming few months. And once it is finished, it will become a catalyst for economic growth for China. That's because this tunnel is going to connect the north and south banks of the Yellow River, creating better connectivity between Jinan's biggest economic centers. And by creating that connection, it will help improve the flow of traffic in the region. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I'll be back with another amazing video.